This is a call to action. We are committed to continuing MLK's dream. Join us to leave a legacy.
We want to hear from you because the dream is unfinished.
We are honoring the 60th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington. Our theme is Dream Unfinished, not a commemoration, a continuation. What does that theme mean to you? Bring your voice forward to answer 6 simple questions in a video survey, just like this. We want to know things like, what are you going to do to continue the dream? And why is it better that we do this work together? Join us. This is a year-long community activation. It's intergenerational, it's intercultural, it's for everyone, because it's better when we do this work together. This is not just about a moment. This is a movement. Join us. This community initiative around, this is the thing, Dream Unfinished. Not a commemoration, but a continuation. What do you think about that?
That we came such a far ways, and we came such a long ways, but I think that honestly means that there's still work that needs to be done, and that there's still work in this community that we still have to work on. So.
And that theme is really important to me, mainly because, like Lincoln said, we have definitely come a long way. There has been so many changes, especially in our government too. Like, we have a Black vice president, we had a Black president. We've had so many Black artists being put in the forefront. Like, we are finally getting some of the representation that we deserve and that we need. Notice on the sum, there is still so much work that needs to be done, and we are still continuing to fight and to push the narrative that Black is excellence, and we're trying to get that in front of everyone, get in front of the world, get in front of our own communities, that Black is exceptional, and that we need to show that. And so the work is not done. I don't think it will be done, but I feel like the more we keep pushing, we will just get an inch closer and closer as time goes on.
How old are you?
I am 15.
15, y'all. How old are you?
I'm 18.
So my question to both of you is, why is it better that we do this work together? I know you're both part of a BSU, a Black Student Union. Talk about why it's better to do it together.
I think that overall we've seen in history that when we unify and come together, that we can make major change. From my perspective, especially in my school, I go to Lakeside, which is kind of a smallish private school, and honestly, there's not really a lot of us, particularly like there's not really a lot of Black students in there, and so often when we try to like make change within the school, it can feel like really daunting and really scary. But then that's the reason why I love BSU so much, because it's us coming together and being able to make that change together, which makes me feel so much more comfortable in speaking out. And I believe that same principle applies to the community, and it applies to everywhere, that when we unify together, we can make major change.
I believe that's better that we do this work together, because yes, one person could try to start something, but it's very important that everyone tries to move forward with something. Like, a village can make change. One person can do a lot, but when you have multiple people with one purpose and that are driven to make change, that just creates a wave, and it's so much more powerful to make change, and it makes it a bit easier. And as like you said, in BSU, like when we work together on, for example, MLK presentations, it just makes it so much more powerful to see a group of people speaking about something that's important to them.
We're committed to continuing the dream. When you hear that, are you hopeful? And what does that mean to you?
Honestly, I'm a little scared. I am a little scared because I believe that I believe everyone is committed, but there's also a lot of struggles that come with being committed, and we face so many trials, and it becomes hard because change is never easy. The march wasn't easy. The civil rights movement wasn't easy. All these things aren't easy, and I'm scared that like our community. I believe in our community, but I am scared that those trials might derail us for a little bit. But I am confident that we will bounce back. I am confident that we will be able to overcome them, but I am scared for what those trials might unveil.
I agree. I do think that I am a little scared, a little anxious about the future. I know that recent events have taken place that have put especially the youth in danger, especially speaking on affirmative action, the ruling within that, thinking about college and our futures. But it does give me hope knowing that there are committed individuals who are helping to see us succeed and to help support us. So while I am scared for it, I am glad that we're able to unify and have more people come together to help us make that change.
What is Black brilliance, Black excellence? What does all that mean to you?
I believe Black excellence is something so beautiful and there's so many different forms, and we are amazing in all forms. We can be politicians, we can be musicians, we can be beauty gurus, we can be athletes. We are amazing in so many different ways, and there's so many different things that we can do, and I feel like that entire we are amazing is honestly just the perfect way to sum that up.
There's been so many empty promises that I've seen happen within this country. There's a couple poems that I write, but one is about the truth, and it's about we have to acknowledge the truth and acknowledge like these empty promises that we face throughout our time. So I think accountability and all three of those words definitely make me hopeful.
I think they go hand in hand. In order to take accountability, you need to have awareness, and after you have the awareness, you need to take action. So I believe that, like we said, it makes me hopeful. As all those keywords makes me hopeful that change is coming. Change will come and change will come.
Hello, my name is Wilmore, and this is my poem called "Being Black in America" that I wrote when I was in middle school in my personal development class about my identity. Being Black in America. Being Black in America, you're often looked at differently when they meet. Not for the content of your character, but still by the color of your skin. Being Black in America means you're athletic, not academic. Certainly a rapper, entertainer, or maybe even a thug, born and raised in the hood or the streets, or on the drugs. These are all stereotypes, because certainly we are much more than that. Being Black in America means you are amazing. You are smart, strong, creative, genius, inventors, and kind, full of an undeniable resilience, strength, and wisdom. What is true, African Americans in America must work harder, be smarter, be more, just to prosper to succeed, thanking our ancestors who fought so hard for our freedom. When people ask, what school do you go to? I respond, Lakeside. But we respond, Washington, Aukie, Asa Mercer, South Shore, Rainier Beach, Garfield, Cleveland, Franklin, and more. And they say, oh, you must be smart. But we like them to continue. Oh, you must be smart, strong, creative, a genius, an inventor, and kind, full of an undeniable resilience, strength, and wisdom. I am African American, yet I have never been to Africa. This has changed recently, but I was born and raised.
You did go to Africa.
Did, yes. Yeah.
I like it.
If I continue, I was born and raised in America. Our history, our culture, our values, and our communities all make me proud, strong, and loud. Perceptions and misconceptions in America unfortunately cause misunderstandings, fear, trauma, and hate. Being Black in America, the experience is great. See, I believe the pen and the paper are the strongest weapons in America. They have the power to create policies, laws, opportunities, unity, peace, and love. But way too often, they've created poverty, division, lack of opportunities, destruction, and hate. Hate is rising in America now. That's fact. It is bold, unashamed, not afraid, unapologetic, ugly, and sad. Teaching Americans the importance of these crimes is truly something it lacks. As an African-American Black male teenager in America, I still have goals and dreams for myself. I want to become an Eagle Scout. I accomplished this one. Attend a great college, become a pilot, a professional athlete, potentially an aeronautical engineer, get married and have children of my own one day, and so much more. But being black in America, I have to stay focused and remind myself that I belong, that I am smart, I am strong, I am creative, I am a genius, I am an inventor, and yes, I am forgiving and kind, full of an undeniable resilience, strength, and wisdom, because I am black in America. And remember, that means we are amazing, 365 days, 24/7.
Are you done? This has been going on for far too long, and I thought we were done. Are you done? Hating our kind for wanting better lives. Are you done yet? Killing us, hoping we won't fight. Are you done? Treating us like we are beneath you. Since 1865, we thought we were free, but still, we are killed, hunted, and chased. Are you done? Taking the lives of poor mother sons. It seems racism still hasn't left the heart and mind of some, but we will fight for our rights and our lives until you are done.
Our theme right here is Dream Unfinished. Not a commemoration, but a continuation. So tell me, when you hear that theme, introduce yourself and tell us what that theme means to you.
Dr. King talked about a dream, but in reality, the dream was the conclusion of his speech to talk about the conditions that basically America had defaulted on justice for all of its citizens. Voting was a big issue at the time. Economic empowerment, all were a big issue. So this theme of the dream unfinished, we still have issues that are challenging. Voting is still a problem today. Jobs, justice, all of those things which Dr. King talked. Has there been improvement? Yes, there's been improvement. Not a lot of improvement, but improvement. But every time we seem to be moving in the right direction, there are forces that come against that just says we don't want you to participate fully in America. So the theme to me says there's still work to be done. We have not reached what is called a racially blind society. So those are some of the things that still, to me, impact. It impacts our nation, and sadly, it impacts the world. Larry Gossett, who was a county council member for a while, and we covered those demonstrations that Eddie NAAM would lead, because Empire was named after a racist railroad guy, and so the name was, since it went through the black community, let's change the name of this street to Martin Luther King Boulevard. And it was you had businesses that did not want it. They gave all kind of, I can't say BS, but they gave all kind of excuses. Oh, well, we got to change our letterhead, we got to change all of our printing, we got to change our address. It was crap. It was just crap. But as they saw that, people were saying, well, we just won't go to your business. Because it was obviously black and it was economics. And so Eddie led that. Eddie was in it. As I said, Larry Gossett, there were others. I know I'm forgetting names, so forgive me for forgetting names. But that happened. So yeah, there have been people who have been doing these demonstrations for years. Larry Gossett helped open the University of Washington to African American students, the Black Student Union. I remember that I was at Franklin High School, and we went up there, and Larry said, you young guys, go home. We don't want you to get in trouble. Because they threw a desk out of the president of the university, threw a desk out of his window to say, we're serious about this. And he said, that's why he said, so you young folks go home if anything jump off. We don't want you all being in trouble. But then when you look at a lot of our demonstrations, the young folks were always there. Because we didn't have the sense that our parents have with them putting their jobs at risk. So you would go out and be ready to do stuff because you're just like, hey, this needs to be addressed. So yeah, we need to acknowledge those old lions, excuse the old lions, I'm one of them, who have been out here for a long time trying to make this a better world for their children and for other people's children, even for those who are children of the oppressor.
How do you remain so hopeful, so positive, and what words would you say to someone who feels the burden of the system?
Hey, it's not easy. I'm at the point in my life where I have grandchildren, and when I look upon them, I want them to have a better life than I have, because I have to reflect back at my grandparents, the world they lived in. My grandfather grew up in the heart of the worst state in the world, Mississippi. And I watched what he did to have his children college educated, to be someone who was addressed as Mr. Berry all the time. And a lot of us don't understand that. you know, in our day and time. But to be addressed as Mr. in the South, when they called people always boy or gal and all those things to sort of diminish them and discount them, he was not addressed that way. And that's what I had to remember as I grew into young adulthood from my visits and how he would take care of his business. So I said, we are the dreams of them, of him. And I remember distinctly one time watching the demonstrations in Birmingham, Alabama, where they were putting the dogs on the kids and the fire hoses. And all the elders were in the room, my grandparents, my parents, and we kids were sort of sitting back, keeping our mouths shut. And one of the elders, who I respected greatly, said, look at them, they out there having all that work done to them. Why are they doing that? They don't need to be out there. And I remember real distinct, my grandmother said, they're out there to make a better life for the children. And so, to me, it's like, things were better. And so I want them to continue to get better, and they don't get better by just hoping they get better. They get better by engaging and demanding, you know, as Frederick Douglass says, you know, power seeks nothing without a demand. You got to demand that things are going to change. You know, things are going to change, and I'm willing and ready to make it uncomfortable for you if things don't change. And that's what we've had to do with America, is keep making things. My grandmother used to say, baby, you are agitating with folks. But that's what a washing machine does. It agitates to get the dirt out. So you just keep on agitating. So, you know, those are some of the things that give me hope, is when I've had those who come before me who say, just stay at it. It's going to get better. Because it has gotten better and they can see it. So we need to make sure we tell young folks it's going to get better. You know, as much as they try to tell you to lose hope, it's like, I mean, yeah, as you said, I'm a believer. And, you know, I believe in the Jesus before the empire. You need to understand there's two Jesuses. Jesus was hated, and the empire killed him. Martin Luther King was hated, and they killed him. And now they act like he's this great halo figure. But when you go back in 1966 and 68, they took a survey, and the most disgusted person in America in the survey, I think Look magazine did one, Guy did one, was Dr. King. The man who now, as Jesse Jackson said, they have neutered Dr. King. See, that's the same thing they did with Jesus. Jesus didn't hang out with the people in power. He hung out in the hood. He hung out in the neighborhood. And so they had to kill him. And now when they killed him, the empire said, but now we need to convert him to our tool for our usage. And so we've had some troubles ever since. They've done that with religion. So you have to stay hopeful by using the truth. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. They give us a bunch of lies. You got to go through them lies to get to the truth. And we should see that now, because they're trying to say slavery was nothing but a vocational training program. So you got to be very on top of stuff. The only county in the whole country that is named after Dr. Martin, but you have to look at it, this county still, we lead the nation in incarceration on a percentage basis. You know, because basically we make up less than 12% of the population in the whole state, about 8% in this state. Yet, when you go into our prisons, over 40%, sometimes 50% of those who are incarcerated are African American. Something is wrong with the system, with justice. And so that's why people got to vote. You got to vote, because when you vote, look, Obama's election made people decide, those that don't want us to vote. Basically just like Reconstruction. When they got at the end of the Civil War and blacks could vote, at least black men could vote. We sent U.S. senators, we sent congressmen to the South. 1 out of every 4 federally elected officials between 1865 to 1870 was black. But there were white forces that said, no, this can't happen. So they began to shut down with voter suppression, to the point where you had Mississippi, only 1% of the black folks voted. Georgia, 2% of the black folks voted. They said we have to take the vote away from them because they're throwing open the doors of justice, they're throwing open the doors of economic empowerment. We got to shut that down. If you look at history, that's what's happening with us today. They're taking back the vote because you know why? When Obama got put in, they saw over 2 million additional votes by black folks. They saw basically about 1 million votes from Asian folks. They saw over 3.5 million votes from young folks. And they said, we can't have this. We have to go, and so they have been targeting those young people and black folks and Asian folks. They do these nice targets and say, in Texas, I won't even get to Florida yet. In Texas, you can have a student state-issued ID. Well, if you're going to one of the universities, you get state-issued ID with a photo on it. They said you can't use that to vote. But if you have a gun permit that's issued by the state, you can use that for vote. Why do they don't want young folks in college to vote? Because more than likely they ain't gonna vote for the craziness that the Republicans is talking about. They also know that for a lot of families, whether they're Hispanic, they're Asian, it's multi-generational. My mother, 93 years old, she lives with me. My wife's parents, they live with us. One of my sons lives with us. Multi-generational house. What Florida says is you gotta show us a utility bill with your name on it. Well, everybody in the house don't get a separate utility bill. So why do they ask for a utility bill? Because they figured we can knock off some people who can't come in showing us a utility bill, whether it's for your electrical, for your water, at that house. So they're doing these things. And then they shut down the voting things. Like in Georgia, they had something like 25 communities where people could vote that were primarily African American. What they've done in Georgia is now they shut down, there's only like 5 areas where you can vote. And then they shut down where you get a license. If you places you have to get state-issued license. Texas has done it, Florida has done it, Georgia's done it. They have said we shut down the DMV. If you want to get a DMV, you got to drive in some places in Texas over 200 miles to the nearest open DMV to get yourself a driver's license, which you need to have to vote. Why did they do that? Because when they looked around and saw what Obama did, and all these young people, all these poor people voting, they said, well, we ain't getting no more older white folks. So, and there's a whole lot more young people of color. We got to make sure they can't vote. And they said, if you look at history, they said we don't want people that are poor, that are of color, to vote. I mean, even the orange guy. The orange guy said there's no way we can ever win an election if we have it fair. He knows that. Because he said our policy, they're not going to buy the stuff we sell. So they have to take away our vote. So to me, you have to have hope to realize if they shut us down before and tried to shut us out, and we were able to put somebody in the White House, they still have fear that we'll do that again. So that's why I have hope.
We're committed to continue to dream. What would you say to those in power?
Well,
being committed to continuing to dream.
We're not going to stop. That part of it with young folks is to inform them that the past is not in the past, that there are implications from what they've done in the past that are still with us today. And so we're going to continue, because if you feel that you're being denied something, that why is it that this is happening to me and to my community, to my people, all those are impacts that we have to be able to address to make a more just world. And as I said, when they tried to say a race neutral or a colorblind society, those were lies. Those are just flat out lies. And so when you look at young people and the shootings and the violence, and for sometimes when some of them say, Pastor, I'm not going to live to be 25 or I'm not going to live to be 30. Those are because of the manifestations of things in our community that are there intentionally. They're there purposely so that you will feel like I'm going to turn on those around me who look like me, who have less like me. And though I'm not going to look for those who have more, who are able to benefit, yet I don't benefit. That's some of what America owes a debt. Randall Robinson, in the book, The Debt, he talks about all the sacrifices we gave to build this great nation. Why should we continually? We've opened it up for other people, whether it's immigration laws. I said a lot of people don't realize that part of what Dr. King them did in that march is they opened up the immigration for other people. Because prior to that, if you look in the 1948, the Klan marched 75,000 Klan members of Washington, D.C. They marched on Washington. And part of what they wanted, you heard this other guy say build a wall. They said we don't want people who aren't from Europe to be in America. So part of that civil rights bill that was passed in 1964 after the 63 wars, it opened up immigration to the rest of the world and not just Western Europe. So we have neighbors, we have friends, we have people of other ethnicities who don't realize you are here because of the blood of our folks who died to open up. And so we need to walk together, and everybody's children, because they're not going to just come for one group and stop. And they always coming after us. And it makes you have to wonder, you know, we were put in chains to get brought here. They had to lie and hold us in chains. They had to have what we know as the police used to be the slave patrol. I said, it was so good. And they loved the slave. Why was all this brutality in there? Why did you do all? Apparently there was some folks saying, we're not going to stay here. Harriet Tubman gave them the message, like, you know, I'd rather be a slave dead in my grave than be a slave alive for you. We have to keep moving because we are the ones who have made this nation and world a better place. Well, hip hop is celebrating 50 years. And you know, I think I love Tupac with the song, like, is there a ghetto in heaven? He said he's still wondering about how are things going to be in the next world when this world comes to an end. And whether it's in Russia, whether it's in Korea, everybody got the hip hop going on now. And you got to like that because it's the power of music to transform, to give hope. And so that's some of why we march, is because the dream is unfinished. And so we have to continue to agitate, to move forward, because, you know, there's, you know, I hate to keep using quotes, but when King said an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we got it. And that's why we have to have that hope. And that's why we still have to march. And that's why young folks is critical for their children and their grandchildren to have a better world. Because the ones who came before us gave us a better world. We have the obligation to give those who come after us a better